Balthazar's Dream is a platformer slash puzzle slash zero-G travel slash shmup slash pixel art slash indie slash dog slash Kickstarter game.
That's a lot to cover.
Basic plot is you play as Balthazar, and in the intro cutscene, your human, Dustin, gets hit by a car during a lovely day at the park. Unfortunately, he slips into what we can only assume to be a coma and has very little time to live. So, it's up to Balthazar to rescue Dustin's ghost from the clutches of that thing and bring him back to life again. Pretty simple setup, right? The game starts out in a house-based environment where Dustin's ghost flies after you and gives you a tutorial on how to bounce on certain surfaces or pick up and use certain objects. You know, typical platformer fare. It uses logical dog-based things to explain mechanics like your smarts bar, which is just another word for your stamina meter, can get exhausted by holding onto a rope toy for too long when using a rope to swing over a pit, or the vacuum is scary for when enemies drain the bar and can send you running away quickly, which is absolutely a necessary speed boost to clear some of the jumps in these levels.
Now, this system seems to work for the first couple minutes of gameplay, but really brings me to a gripe during a couple of the bosses.
The first boss is a giant cat who blocks your path and takes 3 hits to die. As it jumps around, it throws enemies at you and is generally a nuisance, as boss characters are. The biggest flaw is that there's only 2 attacks that it has: throwing cats and a loud roar that drains your smarts bar from anywhere in the room. The AI on this cat tells it to use this thing every 5 seconds, so as you're climbing ropes and using your stamina up, the roar either knocks you off forcibly or doesn't give you enough time to reach the top anyway. I had to game this boss in a 1-cycle run when it jumped on the ground, because otherwise, on all my other attempts, I couldn't reach the top of the map where it jumped to after it got hit twice.
Honestly, make your boss battles difficult. Don't make them annoying.
Once you get past the opening, you enter a forest section that's linear until you get told by your now English-speaking dog that there are several branching paths ahead. Forging onward, you eventually find a map that tells you which rooms lead to which other rooms, but not how. It's up to trial and error to figure out where each door leads, but I was stuck in this section for a while until I learned its secret. Sometimes the door you just exited from can lead you to a completely different room.
Not the same one you just left. Somewhere completely different.
And this begins some of the problems I had with Balthazar's Dream. Several aspects of this game that could have been made so much better if a slight tweak was added. Say, on your map, the arrows between doors could color code themselves when you've used them, so you'd intuitively know, oh, this one actually leads elsewhere, and not have me be stuck in a single room for 5 minutes trying to find the other hidden door inside. On top of that, there are some platforms that give way when you jump on them after a short amount of time. Typical platform things. There's 1 or 2 sections that has you using many in a row. Eventually, I got past these with no trouble, but not every platform falls at the same rate. If an audio or visual cue is put there, like the sound of a branch creaking or the movement of a branch slowly cracking under your weight, I'd be able to gauge my time on these platforms a lot more effectively and intuitively, and have enjoyed the platforming sections,
Which, I remind you, take up the first half of the game.
much more. On top of that, there are several temporary power-ups that you can acquire that boost your speed or make you invincible, and save for 1 power-up in 1 section, the visual cue is either not present or completely somewhere else on the screen where you wouldn't think to look as you move from platform to platform. If there was a visual cue on the character during the entirety of the buff with an indication that it was ending soon via more flashing or a sound effect, I'd be a lot happier with these sections as well. That audio and visual cue comes back up later. So when you go into space, you have a full 360-degree movement scheme and a charge that sends you flying in the direction that you're pointing. Several different times, I misinterpreted the direction it was pointing as the way it was going to thrust and died, but I think that's more just me and not game design. This section was actually really cool, and I think it was my second most enjoyed part of the whole game. The frictionless environment and the jitting around really felt good. I'd play a whole game like this one if Psilocybe Games made one. After this was the best section of the game, a shmup. Really, a shmup. I was a little doubtful as it started, but it was completely serviceable as a simple shmup, and I really enjoyed it. The section is really long, but checkpoints are frequent enough that it doesn't matter. These power-ups also made a comeback here with a movement boost, invincibility, which was given before these massive sections that you die if you played in for real, which gave a big sense of scope, and I really enjoyed that. And also, super shots. At a point or two, these shot upgrades stack 5 or 6 times, providing you with a gun that tears through walls of enemies in front of you. But that doesn't detract from the rest of the environment, and it still takes a bit of skill to navigate past these enemies that you may have missed. It's a really well done segment that I think could, again, be its own game if done right. In fact, every section of this game is more than passable. Psilocybe Games is a team of 2 people, only 2, a husband and a wife that clearly love games and different genres, and they're willing to try and put their hand in creating some of their favorites. This game shows a lot of variety that I wasn't expecting, and I really applaud what they've done here. These last sections I'll leave as a mystery, but I prompt you to give this game a shot. The link to their Kickstarter page, which has download links to the demo, is in the description, and if you think it's interesting, pick it up. Spend an hour or 2 with it and enjoy it, because I did. So the story's a little weak, but it's touching enough, and the gameplay is solid even if it's short, and it has something really nice going for it in some of the sections. It even has a challenge mode if you're down to play a little more after you finish the story. I'll give Balthazar's Dream a 7 out of 10. Next time, just give us some audio and visual feedback and we'll be solid, okay, Psilocybe Games? So, if you need, you can hire me as a consultant. I know a thing or two about game design. I'm only half kidding. Oh, and also, they've got a new Kickstarter campaign coming on August 20th for their next game, The Artificer. It's supposed to be a survival game where you can craft magical items. It sounds interesting enough, and based on what I played here in Balthazar's Dream, I might check it out. When that link becomes available, I'll put it in the description and tweet it out and stuff, and I might even have a surprise in store for then later. On top of that, check the description for our Twitter account. Follow us, you know the drill. We might have our first giveaway coming up soon, so stay tuned. On top of that, we've got a full gameplay video coming soon. It's just me playing it alone, but I think that'll be okay.